Hello friends, and thank you for joining me again. How do you surrender? How do you surrender your hate? How do you surrender your cravings? How do you surrender your anxiety, your regrets, your despair, your blame that you have towards other people? All these behaviors I discovered through the work that I applied from Hawkins, how to surrender each one of them. In 2009, I went to see David Hawkins on a lecture, and at the end of the lecture, David Hawkins comes to the stadium, and everybody, just like a singer, goes to the edge of the stadium and shake his hand. At one time, I went to the front of the stadium as he was coming towards the crowd, and inside my heart I was pleading. I'm like, please shake my hand. Like, I was just crying for his attention. And as he was reaching the edge of the stage, he was looking at me, and he just said, no one can blame them. They are just innocent children, speaking about all of us. And he shook my hand for like 10 seconds, and he held it. After that happened, the lecture finished. It was like 500 people. That's how strong the energy was in that auditorium. Like 500 people, nobody wanted to leave. We are just hugging each other with so much love and so much gratitude for the work that I went to, after that finished, I went to the hotel. When I went to the hotel, I started meditating on that same experience because I wanted to enjoy it longer. And I just started crying and crying from the remorse that I felt from everything that I've been carrying within my heart and throughout my life. And the next day, I was going home. I got on a flight, and I was walking to the airport, and everything seemed different. Everything, I cannot explain it. I cannot explain how that experience, I could see how a couple, when they were together, you can see the true essence of the love when it was genuine. I could see when people were arguing, I could see how they were arguing for meaningless reasons, and how society, from that perspective, it was like I was in such a high, and it was like I was given these different shades of glasses how to see the world. Anyway, that high lasted like 3 days. It was so strong that I would go home and sleep like 3 hours, 4 hours, and I would get up and go to work and do what I needed to do. The year after, I went to see Hawkins again, and I tried to explain to him that experience and to see if he can find any meaning. And he told me that I was too stupid to understand. But when I was meditating on creating this video, the answer came to me. The experience that I had after 2009, after 9 years is when the answer comes. That experience was so high that it could not be verbalized. But yet, from there on, I can see the world different. I can see what stayed with me from that experience is dedication, devotion. So I wanted to know more. Everything that I share with you, all my experience and exercises, is because I've been practicing them I've been practicing them for now 10 years. And as I was watching the lecture, I came across Hawkins explaining this.
We have innate within us a tremendous, intense, powerful devotion. You don't have to develop it. You only have to rediscover it. There is within us already, pre-existent, an energy of such enormous power that one summons up that power to relinquish any and every attachment that stands in the way. You won't find the willingness to do that within the ego structure. The ego will instantly give you an argument why it should not persist in the direction that it's positioned in. So one has to reach deeper within oneself. At the very innate core of one's being is a spiritual power of enormous strength, which alone can accomplish the impossible. The ego, in and of itself, cannot transcend itself. It requires the presence of God. It is by divine grace that one transcends the ego.
When David Hawkins explains that the answer is inside all of us, that we are responsible, that it is a gift that we are born, and it is our perception of the world is what's making us angry, hateful, anxious, hateful. Why? Because if we were to switch the scale and see that those situations arose in our life because they're here to teach us a lesson, our perception of the world will change. I went to see Jack Cornfield, another Buddhist teacher, and he said this.
Part of what made it so extraordinary to be with Nisargadatta was to be with someone who wanted nothing from you. I have never in my life been with another person who wanted less from me or anybody. And in that not wanting anything, there was a sense of tremendous freedom and tremendous love. Sometimes he would look at people and he would say, I don't understand you, as if to pull his hair out. He was always gesticulating and so forth. He would say, you never want what's true. You are so entangled in the illusion of the false. He said, you want what you don't have, and you don't have what you want, and so you suffer, and you continue to suffer. Then he said, it's so perplexing. Why not simply reverse it? Why not want what you have and not want what you don't have? He said, it's so simple. You could be happy. Freedom is here for the taking. You want little things. You could have the entire universe, eternity, eternal life. Take that.
I love Jack Cornfield because he explains Buddhism in our behavior, in our attachments to life in a simple manner. And Jack Cornfield was a student of Nisargadatta Maharaj, which David Hawkins also studied Nisargadatta Maharaj. You see, everything, I'm investigating all these teachers to see how they all relate, and they all find themselves to realizing the same truth, the same consciousness. David Hawkins says, consciousness is the mind of God. So if consciousness is the mind of God, how do you reach consciousness? Through meditation, through silence. And within this silence, you can investigate and know yourself better. How did I come across all this? I came across because David Hawkins mentions to do a moral inventory. So what I did is I wrote down all the insecurities that I have about my life. All the insecurities that I knew I felt. You know what you're insecure about because you're walking through every street, judging people, criticizing. Whatever you feel that you're putting down on another human, that is what you need to work on. Right? Life is a university of experiences. And how you choose to learn from the ones that you wish to surrender, in those you will find your rewards. So, when you choose to surrender hate and you become more loving, you're going to find reasons to be more loving. You're going to find, okay, how do I surrender my hate? Let's focus on that. I take responsibility that I am hating. Once I take the responsibility that I have this feeling of it's negative because it's not giving me satisfaction or reward from anyone. Once you admit it, you meditate on it. Once you sit down and you accept, closing your eyes, and you accept that you are a hateful person, but that you do not wish to have this feeling anymore, and that you choose to be more loving, I promise you that if you just switch the scale for one day, you will see the rewards. You know what it is that you need to fix. How do you know? Anyone can practice it. Tomorrow morning, I would like you all to say, I'm not going to lie anymore. And I promise you that if you are consciously aware, you're going to see how the universe is going to challenge you to see if you are a liar. My example with this came when I decided to give up smoking. When I decided to stop smoking and I said in my heart, I'm not going to smoke anymore, I remember that I was going to work and I would get to work early and I would hang out on the front of the store before I go to work with my friends. And my friends are constantly, hey Willie, you want a cigarette? And I'm like, no, I quit, I'm good. Willie, are you sure? That's how you're challenged. When that challenge went on for like a week, and it kept going on every day with other friends and other people, it's because the universe is trying you out to see if you mean on your dedication, if you mean that you're true to it. The last time I was tested about cigarettes, it was a week after that. I was going home and I was walking through the street, and one block before I got to my house in Queens, I found a brand new pack of Newport Lights. That was the cigarettes that I was smoking. A brand new pack of Newport Lights in front, 2 blocks on the street. And I was so tempted to see, you got a box of cigarettes for free. Don't turn this down. This is the ego in the back of my head. But my dedication was stronger at that time than it was towards giving in. So I just took the box of cigarettes and threw them out. I felt Never again was I tested on wanting to smoke, and it disappears. We can start picking apart the ego by looking at every insecurity, at every resentment that we have, and start one by one. And promise yourself to pick one and start just from one. And I promise you, that you will be challenged by the universe to see if you meet your promise. Once the universe sees that you want to know the knowledge because you just choose to change from inside, the reward is that when you give up hate and you become loving, when you become a loving person, then you see love in everything you do. But not only that, then people resonate towards that love. That means you will be admired for overcoming this insecurity. So what is enlightenment? Enlightenment is when we have taken apart the ego from each angle, surrendered each insecurity, and got the reward out of that insecurity. If you feel the cravings for drinking, the cravings for sex, that's what I'm working on right now. That seems to be my karmic behavior. Why? Because I was able to surrender all of them, but yet I cannot. I'm still working on sexuality. Maybe in the future I will make a video if I transcend that. But on this moment, I'm working on sexuality. That deserves another video on itself. Life is a university of experiences. And how you choose to learn from the ones that you wish to surrender, in those experiences is that you will find your rewards. That is the key lesson. You can find me anywhere. You can find me on Facebook, you can find me on YouTube, you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Skype. Now, if you wish to take part in work, let's all work together. You can write down in the comment section or in the groups questions. Write your questions on what you're working on. And if you wish to surrender something, we can do it together. You can write questions on the comment. What? I will try my best. But please, I administer 3 groups in 3 channels. Plus I gotta work, exercise, meditate. You see, like, it's not humanly possible for me to answer all the questions. So please, give me time. I will get to every question and I will either answer my questions on video or we can discuss them in the group. The 3 groups. If you study Alan Watts and Buddhism, there's a group on Facebook for that. The link is below. If you want to study any type of spirituality, there's a group for that in Abraham Hicks, dedicated to more basics. If you want to study David Hawkins and Buddhism, I have a group for that as well. And the links for these groups are in the comment section below. Anyone can be part of whatever type of level you feel that you need to discuss on working on yourself. You are free to join. I want to thank you all for being part of my life. You asked me, how do I surrender? This is one of my issues. I did not have any friends. I didn't have friends. When my friends disappear, and I still have those friends that I grew up with, but my friends are not spiritual. I needed someone to discuss this type of work, and I didn't have anyone. Lucky this girl, she knows who I'm talking about. She created a group in Manhattan. And this group will get together once a month. Once a month, this group will get together for an hour and a half or 2 hours to discuss David Hawkins once a month. This is before Facebook and anything else. That's how it was 5 of us or 6 of us that will go once a month, and sometimes nobody will go. But ever since my life changed now, I'm so grateful, because all these gifts that I get, there's not a friend that I cannot discuss an issue with now. There's not a friend that I cannot go to all over the world. And it's because of the work. Please also keep in mind that this is not to make me feel better or to make my ego grandiose. No. This is because the awakening. Because when you help someone, when you help yourself, you are helping humanity. We are all growing together. Love, literally, is what makes this world go around. I want to thank you all. Thank you honestly from the bottom of my heart for watching the video. Please, if you see anybody that needs help, share my video, like my video, subscribe to my channel. I will be making more videos on David Hawkins meditation, and I will be back. I will try to make them on a scheduled basis every Friday or Saturday. Thank you all. Stay blessed. Until the next one.